They are not like us. June 9, 2014. They are not like us. By Jack Harper, original article with comments can be found here. Roughly 6% of the world's population consists of people with Neanderthal genes. Jews fall into this category. This is why Jews have always been a problem, because their Neanderthal genes make them twice as aggressive as the rest of the world's Cro-Magnon-derived races. Edited and presented with pictures, captions, and an endnote by Lusha Darkmoon on the sexual proclivities of the Jews. Neanderthal. Basically, I estimate that about 70% of the present crisis on this planet can be fairly attributed to the machinations of Neanderthal Semitic elements of the human population against the Cro-Magnon majority. Michael Bradley, Esau's Empire. Quite independent of Arthur Koestler, whose work he had never read, Michael Bradley, a Canadian-based writer of Jewish origin, released his own 1978 work, The Iceman Inheritance, followed up by its sequel, Chosen People from the Caucasus. In both these books, Bradley put forth his thesis that the modern-day people known as the Jews were descendants from the Khazars and that, indeed, the Khazars could trace their origins back to the Neanderthals. Bradley's website at michaelbradley.info describes Bradley's findings in part. In Chosen People from the Caucasus, Bradley focuses on the two separate groups of people who came from the Caucasus Mountains of the Middle East, the Biblical Hebrews who emerged from the southern Caucasus between 3000 to 2000 BC to invade Palestine, and the northern Caucasus Khazars who were converted to Judaism about 740 AD. The Khazars were pushed into Central and Eastern Europe by Mongol invasions, and their descendants comprise the vast majority of modern Jewry. Although these have no direct historical or genetic connections with the Semitic Jews of the Holy Land, both groups shared a Neanderthal origin in the Caucasus Mountains in the far distant pre-Judaic past. Bradley contends that people and cultures emerging from the Caucasus Mountains, a known refuge of late lingering Neanderthal populations in proto-historical and historical times, would have remained highly intelligent, highly aggressive, and psychosexually maladapted, promoting a high level of in-group cohesion. These traits, Bradley contends, explain the survival of Biblical Hebrews against all odds and also the inordinate social influence of modern Western Jews. Bradley contends that there is no mystique of the chosen people. Monotheism, a purely male and abstract godhead, is merely a result of Neanderthal glacial physical and mental adaptations or maladaptations. Proven Neanderthal in-group cohesion and extreme aggression together resulted in a fiercely parochial chosen people perspective. The cultural fusion of the two separate streams of Jews has, since the 16th century, played an important role in the evolution of Western civilization and thus in the molding of the entire world's present cultural profile. Bradley contends that a uniquely high level of lingering Neanderthal aggression, perpetuated by ethnic prohibitions against outside marriage, has been responsible for the major role played by those calling themselves Jews in the discovery and conquest of the Americas, the transatlantic trade in black Africans as slaves and cultural colonization of non-whites by the West. It has been a role too often distorted and disguised by loud lamentations of anti-Semitism. Bradley writes further of his own research and the subsequent controversy that erupted when many media outlets, and Jewish sources, which had previously hailed his writing on the topic of the Neanderthals, came to realize that his work pointed toward Neanderthal origins for the Jewish people. The Jewish Ashkenazim had come from a region of known late lingering Neanderthals, the Caucasus Mountains and the neighboring Russian steppes. Some typically Jewish physical traits were very obviously vestigial Neanderthal ones, generally a short stature and a plump physique, many very short wide-hipped and big-breasted women, extremely hairy men and a tendency toward beetling brows and large beaky hooked noses in both genders. Many Ashkenazim have crinkly curly head hair tending toward dark reddish-brown or mahogany in color. Neanderthal-type male. Among Ashkenazi Jews there is also a genetic tendency toward beaky faces, not only just noses, and big mouths, in more ways than one, that wrap around the lower face. Barbara Streisand and Julia Roberts provide two lovely and very well-known examples of how attractive this genetic trait can be. But these are not Semitic physical traits. They are Neanderthal physical characteristics. And maybe some Neanderthal emotional and behavioral traits persisted among the Ashkenazim along with the physical ones. Their chosen people pretension is a typical Neanderthal in-group obsession that is actually a genetic racist predisposition against all other humans. It is a genetically determined us against them mentality. Their higher level of known Neanderthal aggression against outsiders is responsible for their disproportional social influence wherever they have settled in the West. The Ashkenazi Jews, as a group, exhibit lingering Neanderthal traits most strongly among living Caucasians because of Jewish prohibitions against marriage with outsiders. Their Neanderthal genes have been kept all in the family, as it were. These Neanderthal genes were not diluted by intermarriage nearly as much as with most other Caucasians. Neanderthal-type female. Note the same beaky nose and big mouth. This Russian steppe origin of today's Ashkenazi Jews was not just a theory based on squibs by medieval Christian, Muslim and Jewish chroniclers. It was solid and objective historical reality based on linguistics and hard archaeological artifacts. And, with the Iceman Inheritance, my unforgivable crime had been to add very persuasive anthropological data to all the other evidence. And this data was also something that anyone could actually see by simply taking a close look at many North American Jews. According to Bradley, the Neanderthal heritage of modern-day Jewish people explains much about their ongoing problems with not only the native people of Palestine but with other people on the planet. He writes, this unfortunate combination of high aggression combined with a tendency toward emotional instability and hysteria when they feel nervous or threatened, which is all the time when they are not in absolute control. And they are arrogant, but uneasy, even then. An ethnic symptom of this emotional instability is the Jewish tendency toward hypochondria. Even they cannot control death. This unfortunate combination of high aggression combined with a tendency toward hysteria and emotional instability has proved to be a dangerous and tragic situation over the course of Western history. Their aggression encourages continual Jewish attempts to control societies, while the emotional instability makes it difficult for most Jews to distinguish reasonably between justified social criticism by their non-Jewish neighbors and attacks. Insensitive even to objective concerns about inordinate Jewish influence in societies, and reacting with hysterical aggression to any such supposed attack on their behavior and pleas from non-Jews to limit it, Jews have always provoked violence against themselves. And then they, with much emotional satisfaction, feel victimized and attribute the situation to innate anti-Semitism among their neighbors. On his website, in an essay entitled A Frightening Publication History of Jewish Media Suppression, Bradley explores the amazingly negative reaction against his writings and the determined efforts to discredit his work. ________________________